Hey, and welcome back to AWitchAlone's podcast. I'm your hostess Danielle, and we'll be continuing with the mini-series on the tools of the trade by talking about the wand. While the wand is an important altar tool, personally I don't think it is required forever, and I will explain why later. Wands can be made out of anything you want as long as they have the same general shape, as this tool is used to direct energy. So why have a wand if we have an athame? Good question. The athame is known as a power wielder, don't forget, and with the handle you have on that tool, it can keep some of the energy to use later in ritual. This is where they differ. Your wand won't necessarily hold any excess power or energy. This is simply a way for you to make sure your energy and intent hits the point you desire. There are a lot of wand makers on Etsy, and while those wands are gorgeous and ornate, they aren't required. I was picking up sticks and bringing them home for as long as I can remember, waving them around and pointing them at objects without really knowing what I was doing. When I started to practice, I went about finding a stick just thick enough I could carve symbols into. I've changed my wand constantly, picking up new sticks and bringing them home, carving in new or different symbols, or painting over them, before I settled on a wand made of selenite. For me, the selenite wand was a good choice because of the crystal's connection with spirit and the higher powers. Because I rarely use my wand, I know when I do use it, it's going to be very important. But how can you be a witch without a wand? This is why I said I personally don't think you need to have or use an actual wand tool forever, because you've been gifted with 10 functional wands, the digits on your hands. I will use my fingers first as my wand, as they are connected right to me and my power. I can't really forget them outside of the ritual circle. Whenever I'm anointing candles or drawing symbols in the dirt or sand, I'm using my power with my fingers. This is something that you can do right off the bat if you feel comfortable enough, and never have to worry about hiding this particular altar tool or possibly hiding it should you still be practicing in the closet. The wand is also one of the symbols that is used as a suit in most tarot decks, and the meanings behind the wand differ depending on which Wiccan path or witchcraft path you follow. The wand has always been associated with the male figure because of its phallic shape, but when it comes to elements, it switches between them. In Gardnerian Wicca, it is associated with air, wisdom, and intelligence, but for other pathways, it is associated with fire, passion, and creativity. What you associate your wand with will depend on where it sits on your altar. Air tools usually reside to the east, while fire tools reside to the south. Does this change how your power is moved through the tool? No, but it would change how you connect to a tarot deck, just as a side note. It's hard pressed to find a witch in a movie or a show that doesn't have some kind of wand, but that doesn't mean that they're all going to be the same size. Some will show wands as something small, maybe it could be anywhere between 5 and 10 inches, or they will usually show how evil witches keep their magic in a staff or a walking stick. If this is how you prefer to use or have your wand as something larger, absolutely go for it. Just because Maleficent has this giant black staff doesn't mean that if you choose to have a walking stick that holds all your power, that's not a bad thing. The only thing I suggest is that if you're going to have a larger wand, that you have something that's easily used in rituals. So in order to direct your power into a candle, if you're not going to use your finger, normally you would actually touch your wand to the candle or to the crystal. So if having a ginormous staff is going to make things difficult for you, I would definitely think about that. Which is also why I prefer to use my fingers, because I can just connect directly to whatever it is I'm trying to enchant. That brings us to the end of this relatively short episode. This will be a bi-weekly podcast, so make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Next time we will be discussing the cauldron. This episode is brought to you by the tarot card, the Ace of Pentacles. The aces are always a new beginning, and so for pentacles, it's usually something that is career-driven, so very prosperous. But it does beg that you must stay grounded, as everything starts as a tiny sapling, and without watering and without sunlight and nurturing, your start will not go anywhere. If you're on Instagram, please feel free to reach out at the same handle, AWitchAlone. Tell me where you're from and say hi. I love meeting new followers. If you were following me on Twitter and you haven't seen me, that's because I've temporarily deleted my account, but I will be reissuing it under the same name, AWitchAlone, just at a later date. Seeing as this episode is actually coming out a week behind, the next episode will be coming out next Friday instead of 2 Fridays from now, so make sure you're looking out for it. And until then, blessed be.